Please subscribe my channel. The party was meant to be innocent, just one of those work events, where everyone smiles nicely and talks about safe, surface-level things. I stood off to the side of the room, watching my wife, Emily, move easily through the group. She looked sure of herself, and at ease in a way she hardly ever was. At home. Then I heard it. She gave a light laugh and said, "I'm free tonight." The words didn't sound like an accident. They sounded on purpose. Her boss, a smooth, polished man named David who wore his power like a perfect suit, smiled in a knowing way and answered, "Then you're coming with me." A couple of people nearby laughed, thinking it was just a joke. I didn't think so. Something in her voice told me this wasn't simple teasing. It felt too familiar. I didn't say anything or make a scene. I just walked over and sat in the empty chair right next to her, close enough that she felt me there before she saw me. Her laugh stopped the second she realized it was me. For a quick moment, her face went stiff, just long enough to show the truth. Then she put on a smile and introduced me, like I was an afterthought. "He's only kidding," she said fast, trying to fix the moment. David looked surprised, but not ashamed. He gave me a polite nod, his confidence hardly shaken. I said nothing. Staying quiet can make people nervous when they expect you to react. I watched them closely, noticing how her body turned slightly away from me, how her voice got softer when she talked to him. The room kept buzzing around us with no idea that something had already broken. She tried to laugh again and make another joke, but it didn't land. The mood had changed. Jokes need everyone to be on the same page, and we weren't anymore. I stayed in my seat, calm and watchful, letting the awkwardness grow. The longer I stayed quiet, the more uneasy she got. She wouldn't look at me and stared at her drink instead, or at anyone else who would meet her eyes. David tried to make small talk, asking me about my job and how long Emily and I had been married. I answered politely and briefly, nothing personal, nothing emotional. I saw the small change in the way he sat, like he was starting to realize he had read the situation wrong. Confidence that comes from assuming too much doesn't last long. Emily finally leaned close and whispered that it was just harmless fun, and that I shouldn't take it seriously. I nodded, once not agreeing, not disagreeing. That simple nod seemed to scare her more than if I had gotten angry, because anger fights back. Calmness just watches. As the night went on, the space between us felt heavier than all the people in the room. She tried to act normal by talking louder and being extra friendly, pretending everything was fine, but others in the room could feel the tension, even if they didn't know why. David excused himself soon after, his knowing smile gone and replaced with caution. Emily watched him go, then turned to me. Her forced smile finally dropped. She asked why I was so quiet and why I was making things uncomfortable. I answered calmly that I wasn't making anything awkward. I was just there. That hit her harder than I thought it would. Being fully present takes away excuses. She laughed again, sharp and forced, trying to turn it back into a joke. But even she could tell it wasn't working this time. That laugh sounded thin and desperate, like something ending. We left the party without any big fight. In the car on the way home to our house in Charlotte, North Carolina, she filled the quiet with explanations. How people tease like that at work. How I had misunderstood. How I was embarrassing her by reading too much into it. I listened without cutting in, my hands steady on the steering wheel. When she finally ran out of words, she waited for me to say it was okay, to reassure her. I didn't. I said quietly, "That jokes only feel funny when everyone knows the limits." She snapped back, calling me controlling and saying I had ruined her night. I didn't argue. Arguing just feeds denial. I simply told her that what I saw didn't feel like a joke to me, and I wasn't going to pretend it was. The rest of the drive home was quiet, not the angry kind, but the final kind. At home, she expected us to keep talking for feelings to spill out. Instead, I went through my usual routine without rushing or raising my voice. That threw her off. She followed me around, asking what I was thinking and what this all meant. I told her that respect doesn't vanish in one evening. It fades when people stop caring who's watching. She tried one more time to laugh it off, calling me dramatic, but even. She could hear how empty it sounded. That was when she understood. Something had changed for good. The joke she thought she could brush away had shown something bigger, not just to me, but to her too. She asked if I was going to forgive her. I said forgiveness wasn't the problem. Knowing what had happened was. In the days that followed, everything between us felt different. She became careful with her words, hesitant, unsure. The easy confidence she used to have was missing. She tried to act like things were back to normal, but that normal was gone. Trust doesn't come back just because people keep their voices down. I wasn't mean or cold on purpose. I was simply distant. Distance can be more honest than pretending closeness when it has been broken. Our friends noticed the change. She noticed it the most. She asked if that one moment at the party really mattered that much. I told her the truth. It mattered because it showed me how easily she could forget I was right there. Silence followed. This time, she didn't try to laugh. That evening at the party ended more than a casual chat. It ended a pretense. We had both been living. The last joke she tried wasn't funny because real. Jokes need trust, and trust had quietly left the room long before we did. Sitting next to her, that night wasn't about starting a fight. It was like holding up a mirror, and she didn't like what she saw in it. Some relationships don't end with yelling or big scenes. They end when one person realizes their laughter doesn't have anywhere safe to land anymore. From that night on, everything between us was different, not with loud fights or sudden breaks, but slowly and forever. And she realized too late that some jokes cost far more than anyone expects.